Good afternoon, guys. My name is Sarah Rosamond and I am a survivor of childhood sexual abuse. And today in this video, we're going to be talking about some of the misconceptions around healing. Now, if nobody's ever told you this before, I want to be one of the first to point out that healing is not linear. There's no rules on how you should heal, how long it should take to heal. It's called a healing journey because everybody takes it in their own stride and in their own time. Some days you're going to feel strong. You're going to feel like you can take on the world. And then other days it's going to feel like you've taken 10 steps backwards for no reason. And that doesn't mean that you're failing. That means that you are healing. Abuse, whether that is physical, psychological, mental, verbal, even sexual, abuse teaches your nervous system to work in a way that it's always protecting you. And that nervous system is teaching you to stay alert. It's teaching you resilience. It's teaching you to be hyper aware of your surroundings. And just because you might find yourself coming into your healing era, just because you are no longer in that direct harm, your nervous system doesn't know that. So when you finally leave that situation or you recognize what was happening, your nervous system hasn't necessarily got that memo. It doesn't know that you are now out of that. All it knows is that it's had to survive like this for such a long time. And it takes your body, it takes your mind time to adjust to those changes. And one thing that I do want to point out is healing isn't about getting over it. If anything, healing is about relearning how to live it in that situation. Healing starts with belief, not strength, which is a misconception. And one of the worst things that you can ever hear, one of the worst questions you can ever get asked was it really that bad? Abuse trains you to doubt your own reality. It trains you to minimize your pain. And it also trains you to kind of question what had happened, and to often explain your behaviours of the reason why you got abused. First of all, it was not your fault. Second of all, nobody else has been through what you've been through, so therefore they would never be able to understand, not fully. So healing often starts with something really surprisingly hard, and that is believing in yourself. It's about believing about what you experienced mattered. It's about believing about how it affected you. And most of all, it's believing that you don't need a big dramatic story for your feelings to be validated. The bottom line is you don't need to prove your pain to validate your healing. That should never have to be the case. Another thing that I want to point out, which nobody pointed out to me, triggers does not mean that you are not healing. If anything, it is getting triggered is a proof that your nervous system for so long was in fight mode. For so long, it was trying to protect you. I still get triggered now, 20 years after my abuse happened. And it doesn't mean that I'm not healed. It just means that my body is like, I remember what that felt like. I've been there. I know what that feels like. And it doesn't mean that you are failing. Please don't ever think that. Triggering does not mean that you are not healed enough. It just means that your body remembers what it felt like in that moment, and it's trying to protect you. And healing doesn't mean never being triggered again. If anything, that's a very big misconception that a lot of people, it's learning how to handle those triggers, how to move on from those triggers. It's not about not being triggered. Being triggered does not mean that you are not healed. You're still healing every single day. It's about being compassionate about yourself rather than holding on to the shame that the trauma caused. Instead of saying, what is wrong with me? Instead, try asking what part of you needs that safety now. That shift alone can change everything. You might find that you end up grieving the person that you once were. And this part usually catches people off guard. Healing after abuse often comes with grief. Grief of the person that you once were. Maybe you were more carefree, more trusting and more open, whereas now you're a lot more guarded. You're a lot more, you protect yourself a lot more than what you would have done. Maybe you grieve lost opportunities that you might have been able to have if you weren't in that situation. Or maybe you grieve what you thought the relationship could have been, or what you could have become had you not been going through that abuse. And healing isn't about pretending that it never happened. Healing's about honouring all the things that you lost, the time you lost, and learning to adapt from it, and without letting it define who you are becoming. You are not broken, you're adapting. And let me say this as clear as day. You are not broken. The habits you developed, the hypervigilance, the people-pleasing, the numbing your feelings, they weren't flaws. They were your body adapting to your situation. They helped you survive a situation that you needed all those survival skills to be able to come out the other side. And healing isn't about erasing those parts of you, the people-pleasing, the hypervigilance. It's not about erasing that. It's about gently reminding your body that you do not need those survival skills anymore. And it's not something that you're going to get over instantly. It's something that takes time. I used to be the worst people pleaser there was. I didn't even know how to say the word no. For years and years and years, I felt like if I just agreed with everybody, it would make things a lot easier for me, but it didn't. Once I learned to stand up for myself and say no, my life changed completely. But that took time. That's not something that can happen overnight. And healing is quiet. It's not performative. If you look on social media, it will try and teach you that healing is glowing skin, it's morning routines, it's inspirational posts. It's not. That's a misconception. A lot of people think that's not what healing's about. Healing is a lot quieter. Proper healing is about setting boundaries and probably feeling guilty for doing so. It's about letting your body rest. It's about choosing calm over the chaos. Most importantly, it's about learning to trust yourself again, learning to trust your judgments, that you're not going to make those same mistakes. Healing's quiet. Healing's very reflective. And healing, a lot of the time, is a very lonely road. Sometimes healing can be boring. Sometimes healing is messy. Sometimes healing is just learning to do things the way you wanted them done in the first place. It's not about social media and having all the right answers. None of us have the right answers. We're on a journey and each journey is completely different. Now, as much as I just said healing can be very lonely, it doesn't need to be. Abuse is where the actual loneliness stems. Healing offers a connection, especially when you meet other people that are going through their own healing journey. It's very good to connect with other people that have been through similar situations with yourself, because they can at least understand what you're going through. And I find that talking about my healing journey really did help me heal even more. And there's lots of ways that you can do it so it doesn't feel so lonely. Now, I've done a lot of journaling with my healing. I wrote a lot of things down. You could have therapy, although that didn't work for me personally. But therapy, even supportive groups of people that have been through similar things to yourselves, when you can talk about your abuse without being judged because somebody else understands what you're going through, that's so healing just in itself. But not everybody deserves to know your story. That's something that is up to you. If you feel comfortable enough and you are in a trusted circle of friends or a trusted circle of people and you want to open up and talk about that, then that's brilliant. But don't ever feel like you have to talk about your healing, because that's not what it's about. Healing is about doing what is best for us and not other people. Ultimately, you just need one place where you don't feel like you have to shrink yourself where you don't have to explain and you're not judged. And if this video is all you have right now, that still counts as connection. If this video resonated with you in any way, please hit the like and subscribe button, as it really helps. And maybe you want to learn more about healing. Well, you can find out more in my next video. But thank you very much for listening. On a closing note, I just want to say that if you are still healing, you're still going through it, things are still messy, you're still unsure, that's normal. That's okay. Healing is a journey and we take our time to get there. And don't forget, your story matters. You survived something a lot of people wouldn't have survived. And you need to be proud of yourself for that.